Welcome to Crafty Little Beach. This is Julie. Today I have a Dollar Tree DIY for you. Now, this is one of the little bee wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. I have no idea why they make these red, so I'm going to take mine outside and give it a quick spray paint with some black spray paint because I don't want to have to worry about that red showing through in the final product. I mean, it should be black. And I like to leave the antennas just wire, so I need those to be black for sure. So I sprayed the front and the back of it, and we're gonna start decorating this. I've made one of these before here on my channel, and I wanted to see if I could do a different version of it since they brought these back again this year. So I was thinking I wanted to do like a fuzzy bumblebee, and I think I was able to pull it off. So let me show you how I put it all together. First, just making sure I had all of my paint dry, and these are the materials that I'm going to use to kind of DIY this. I found a great fuzzy fabric at the Dollar Tree that I think is going to be great for the bumblebee. Then for the stripes, I thought I would use some of the black faux leather from the Dollar Tree. I thought that would be easy to cut like straight stripes, and it's going to provide like another texture for the piece as well. And then I'm going to use shelf liner for the wings. So first, I'm starting with the head. I thought since I had the black leather, I would go ahead and do the head in that one. So I am just laying the head right on top of the leather and just using a Sharpie to kind of sketch out where the head is on the back of the leather. And I love this faux leather from the Dollar Tree. It's so easy to craft with because it's just super easy to cut and you don't have to worry about fraying or anything like that. So I'm just cutting it along those lines. I want everything to be a little bit bigger than what I need so that I can attach it to the bottom of the wreath form and it can kind of peek out on the other side. So I'm going to start with a little bee head. It looks like I cut it really well, so I can go ahead and start gluing this. I'm just going to do like half of it at a time with hot glue, making sure that is down, and then doing the other side as well. I want to cover everything with the materials from the back, and then I will come from the front and cover all of the wires too, except again for the antennae. But I did kind of need them to be black because I'm going to use a lot of black and gold on this bee, and that red would have really clashed. Now, this is the fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. I was so excited. I've never seen this at Dollar Tree before. It's like a fuzzy golden material, and I thought this would be perfect to make this guy look like a bumblebee. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay it like fuzzy side down, laying my wreath form on top. And I'm going to sketch out like the body of the bee. And the material kind of gives a little bit, so I was kind of having to hold the wire wreath form down on it. I can go about halfway here because that has like a double wire on the wings, and then I'm going to cut that down to size. Now I end up actually using this fuzzy material too for the head. I end up switching it later on just because I had a lot of black going on the bee and I wanted just a little bit more of golden, and I just love this fuzzy fabric. It's so cute. I found lots of new fabrics that I've never seen at Dollar Tree before, and we're going to be using a lot of them today. So that is the perfect size for the bee body, slightly overlapping the little stinger down here and the sides. So I'm just going to attach this with hot glue from the back. So everything is still kind of upside down, and then kind of glue it here to the wings as well. And then go up and I'm going to slightly overlap that with like the bee head, just hot gluing everything down. Now I'm going to be using this bee wreath form and also the beehive wreath form like later on in this video. They're probably my most time consuming projects that I was working on today, but man, I really love how they turned out. And I use these for wall hangings. I don't really use them for wreaths, but I guess you always could. They're a little small for wreaths in my opinion. Now, and this was my original plan, was to use the black leather for the stripes. So I'm going to cut out the rest of that rectangle that I had left. And then I thought the best way to cut it would be to use my like Cricut paper cutter. to get perfectly square lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure my rectangle is square. And then I am just going to cut, I think I did like 1/2 inch stripes. And I ended up needing a total of 3 of those. I don't want to go too crazy, but I want to have stripes like go up the body of the bee. So I'm going to need like a larger one down here. And I'm going to go ahead and attach that. Do make sure you get it on there. This is straight. When you're working kind of fast with the hot glue, sometimes you can get carried away. But that looks good. I'm also going to glue it down to that fuzzy material as well so it doesn't like bow out at all. I want it to lay flat. And then I'm going to cut my other stripes down to size. So I ended up actually only needing 2 because I was able to reuse this piece. It's pretty skinny up here at the top part of the bee. Then I'm just going to kind of trim off the excess leather. And I'm also going to kind of trim off the excess like fuzzy fabric that's kind of sticking over the edge and make sure everything is down. And once I get these on, then we can start working on the wings. I have a really fun idea using some of that shelf liner from the Dollar Tree. I thought we could make some wings that were kind of transparent, like bee wings would be. Something that you could see through, but something that's going to coordinate well with the gold and the black in the bumblebee. So I picked up just the regular shelf liner. I always like to walk around the other aisles of Dollar Tree to see what other materials I can use for craft materials, and you can often find stuff like this that can have another use. So I thought it kind of reminded me of a screen, right? So I thought that would be a fun, like transparent wing, something that you could see through. So I think that's going to work. So again, I'm just going to have to lay the bee wreath form on top of it, and I'm going to sketch out like the size of the wing. But it is black, so it's kind of hard to draw on that where you can see it, right? So I'm just using my white paint pen, and I'm just going to sketch it out in between the 2 wires. That way I can make it a little bit bigger than the inner one, but I don't want to make it too big that it hangs over the edges of the bee. So basically 2 heart shapes, and the paint pen actually worked pretty well for that. So now we're going to cut those out, and we'll have like basically all of the bee covered with the fabric, and then we can start decorating the front of the bee. I had so much fun making these DIYs. I do bees every year on my channel. They always seem to do really well. Hopefully this video will do well too. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. That always helps it do better. It's been very slow on my channel, so I'm anxiously awaiting Shore Living whenever it decides to show up in my stores. I feel like a crazy person going to Dollar Tree every day at this point. So I'm going to start here at the center or the bottom of the heart shape or the wing shape, and I'm just going to do one section at a time, gluing that shelf liner down. And I was surprised at how well that material held up to that hot glue. It didn't seem to melt at all. And I'm going to do the same thing over here, just at a section at a time, and just kind of making sure I got it on right. Now, I went back and forth about what kind of material I wanted to use to cover the wires on the front. Dollar Tree has rope, but they have it in like brown rope, they have it in white rope, and I didn't really think I wanted to do either one of those. So I will show you what I ended up doing using another product from the Dollar Tree. I think the wings look pretty good, and this is what we're going to use, the black macrame cord. So they have this in colors, including black. So I thought I could make my own rope by braiding the macrame cord. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to use that to cover all of the wire wreath form. So I'm going to do like about 4 feet of the rope, and I'm going to cut out like 3 pieces of it. And then I'm just going to tie the end of that into a knot, and I need to attach it to something so that I can pull on it and braid it. And I can't really tape down to my work surface here because it's silicone and not even duct tape. Nothing will stick to this stuff. And so I'll show you what I ended up using to kind of work around that. And I ended up having to make like 4 different ropes. I'm going to show you the first one that I made here. So I'm just going to take a block of wood. That can serve a couple purposes. You'll see here in a minute. And I'm just going to use my staple gun to attach that. So I can pull on that, braid it, no big deal. So I'm going to start braiding it. Now, you can braid a section, but as you can see, when you're working with the really long pieces of the macrame cord like that, it is going to get tangled up. So you do have to take breaks and kind of untangle as you go. But the board works great because you can just flip it like that and kind of keep the tension on it and keep everything untangled. And as you can see, I'm just braiding like you would braid hair, 3 pieces. It's going to give me a flat rope, which is going to be plenty wide enough to to cover up the wire wreath form and all of like the seams and everything I have going on where I've attached the other fabric. So I just keep braiding this until I get all the way to the end, and then I just tie a knot on it too, just so it won't become unbraided until I can work with it. So the board trick definitely works for that, especially if you don't have something you can attach it to. But I thought this was a good way to do a black rope. I know you can paint the rope, but it doesn't always turn out with like very good coverage. So I thought that this was a fun idea. I'm going to start like here at the bottom underneath the wing and just start hot gluing that on. As you can see, I want it to cover like any fabric that might stick out from the sides and cover up everything, cover up the wire. And whenever you're working with like this like flat macrame rope, it's really easy to go around like even sharp angles like that. You can even kind of reverse direction, bend it back. You can do all kinds of different things with it. And so I'm going to do this, the bottom of the bee like this. And then I'm going to continue that same piece just to kind of make less seams. And I'm going to keep using it until I can't use it anymore. So I'm doing like the outer wire of the wing. I will have to double up the wings because the wings have 2 wires. It's kind of inevitable. I kind of wish that it had 1 wire. It would make it a little bit easier, I think. But I'm going to keep that one going. I can go all the way around the outer rope and the bottom of the bee with that one piece of macrame rope that I made. I am cutting them off. I'm not like leaving the knots on them or anything like that. I'm just kind of leaving those on there until I can get like my ends glued down. And once I get them glued down like that, it shouldn't be any problem like not unraveling or unbraiding. So this is my second rope that I braided. And I'm going to do the inner wing of this side so we can finish up this side of the bee wreath form. The pointy part here in between the 2 wings, you do have to kind of get it tight to try to cover up everything. I put the hot glue on there and then kind of squeeze it together to try to cover up as much space as possible. But then again, I'm just covering up the wire on this one, and I want it to be as close as I can get it to the other one, so there's really not like much of a gap in between the 2 different wires, the 2 different braids. So I have some left over here. I should have enough for the head on this rope. So I'm going to go ahead and just start kind of where the wing is because everything kind of overlaps there, so I don't need it to go all the way down. And I'm just going to do the top part of the head, gluing that down. And then I have another rope here. I'm going to just cut my knot off of it. I'm going to start it on the neck there where I can finish off the head. And then I'm going to continue that same piece down and go around the wing as well. And I'm trying to make sure that I don't have like any like visible hot glue or anything on the top of the macrame rope. So I'm trying to be careful with that. If I see it, I clean it up with my heat gun as fast as I can. So that rope got me about that far. I didn't make that one quite as long. So I'm going to have to do a 4th rope that I braided, and then I do the inner wing with that one. Again, I have to kind of go around this crazy corner up here, and I just pinched everything together to cover that up. One thing I love about how this bee wreath turned out is all of the fun textures. Like we've got like these great see-through wings. We've got the fuzzy bumblebee. We got the leather stripes. It was so fun to do this one, but it was a little time consuming. Once I got that wing covered, I'm going to again cut off the rest of it. And this is what it looks like at this point. I can just use the antenna to hang it. That's when I decided it was a little too dark. So I'm going to pop off the leather for the head and replace it with some more of that fuzzy golden fabric to brighten it up a little bit because I had a lot of black going on between the black rope, the black wings, and the black head. So just using my heat gun, I'm carefully popping off the leather. I'm going to use that as a template to cut out the fuzzy gold fabric. I'm really glad I did it. I think it's so much cuter now with a little fuzzy bumblebee head. So just cutting that piece down to size. Then I've already got like the braided rope on the front. I just have to kind of replace this here on the back. No big deal. I just attach it with hot glue. And I even thought about like maybe making a back on that and kind of stuffing the head a little bit so it's stuck out a little bit. But I decided the fuzziness was good enough of a texture. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so pretty. I'm just going to kind of clean up that black macrame rope, kind of picks up any of that fuzzy material. And just make sure I have everything cleaned up. And then again, I don't need a hanger because I can just hang it from one of the little bee antennas. But this is how it turned out. I think the shelf liner for the wings is just a really fun idea. And here on a photo, you can really see the fuzziness of that material. I think that was a really fun choice. And I love the texture there on the wings. If you can't find the yellow fuzzy fabric, really any kind of yellow fabric would do.